Oh my goodness, is it great to be Thursday right now. Happy Thursday. This week just felt long to me. And kind of on the stressful side. But at this point, we can okay, the weekend's about to be here. Give it some time. Yeah. My low is I didn't really get the greatest amount of sleep last night. I think maybe barely 6 hours. But I'm up now, surprisingly. I have an appointment in about 25 minutes and there's no extra. I probably shouldn't be making this video, but yeah, I know I have to get this done before, because I don't know what today is going to bring. With that said, my high is actually my high and my active kindness are twofold, because on Friday night I was driving a friend of mine, and he had glasses that fell out of his pocket. On Sunday night, I actually noticed it. And now, this happened I drove my friend on Halloween, and it took me till Sunday night to notice because A, it was like in the passenger side on the floor, and these are like, clear glasses. Like, I wasn't really looking over in my passenger seat, so, I didn't notice them until Sunday night when I was cleaning out my car. And I wanted to return the glasses to this person on Monday, but where this person works was closed on Monday. I tried doing it on Tuesday, but I was ridiculously busy. So I finally got to do it yesterday. So, yeah. It felt good doing my act of kindness. Especially when I was told I'm a gentleman and a scholar. I couldn't help but think about that because if any of you look at my Facebook, then you know that 12 years ago yesterday, my Aunt Debbie and Uncle Ed passed away. And actually, it's more my Aunt Kathy that would have said that. She also passed away. But it just sounds like something that someone from my family would say, and I thought that was nice. Felt good, actually. So, actually, I probably could have talked a little bit more about that yesterday, but I want to dedicate the video to a church counter. So, yeah, don't worry, I'll get to the pick in a bit. Listen, there's only one NFL pick, and I can already tell you who's going to win tonight's game, but, for the sake of, making this video remotely interesting, I'll explain this. So, I mentioned just not even a minute ago that my Aunt Debbie and my Uncle Ed passed away 12 years ago yesterday, on November 5th. Now, keep in mind, my aunt married my uncle when I was 12 years old. So they were married for, 11 years and change. So basically, I knew my aunt my entire life. Now, I had experienced death in my family before. I think I was like 2 or 3 years old when my Aunt Dorothy or Dottie passed away. I was like 9 and 10 when both my great aunt and my great grandmother passed away. And yeah, they were sad in my family, but I was in that time of my life where, like, I'd only just realized that death was bad, but at the same time, I didn't really know them very well. I really only saw them on, like, special occasions and such. Funny enough, though, I can still remember my great grandmother's voice, barely, but I can still picture what she looked like in my head, if nothing else. I thankfully really wouldn't have a death in my family until I was 23 years old, or yeah, 23 years old when my Aunt Debbie passed away. This is someone that I knew for much longer and had a greater impact on my life in terms of her being there and seeing her a lot and stuff like that. Like, this is the first person in my family that I legitimately knew for a very long period of time before she passed. So, I mean, I wasn't necessarily crying at anything going on, but I could feel like the genuine sadness, everywhere in the room when my family was all together for it. I'll actually never forget what happened before. Funny enough, I had only just started my running journey at that point, and I was about to run my very first half marathon. Specifically, I was going to run the Red Baron, which is it starts at Corning Community College, and it's like 4 miles uphill, 4 miles downhill, and the last 4 miles are flat. That's the best way to generally call it. Now, I had done a lot of running for sure, and I'd run, definitely 8 miles at most. How much worse could 13.1 be? Actually, that's not true. I did run longer distances than 13 miles, but I never did it on a consistent basis. And the night before that marathon, the half marathon, that's when I knew that my Aunt Debbie was sick. So we spent like all Saturday evening in the hospital. The half marathon was on Sunday. So probably not the best idea that we got wings from Bernie Murray's before the night before. I didn't know any better. I mean, even with the better choices I was making at that time, and even though, I felt ready to do it, like I had a playlist ready on my iPod, like I was ready to go. By the time I was done with the Red Baron half marathon, I realistically thought of quitting. For a couple of reasons. I mean, listen, I never expected to ever win that race, obviously. I think I got like 55th overall. But when you're in that setting, you want to, you still feel like that competitive edge in you. So, actually, I take that back. We didn't go to Bremer. We went to, I think, Bus Horgans, maybe? Where Rye used to be, or Rye is now. Anyway, so I run so again, I realistically thought of quitting. My entire body was destroyed. I'll never forget because the very last part of the race is you gotta run over Centerway Bridge. And then, the finish line is right there. Let me tell you what. Now I know what they mean when they say don't look down. Because I was obviously running on the side of the bridge, obviously, where the sidewalk was, because cars could go by. And, dear God, I thought I was going to fall off the bridge. Between how exhausted I was, how much in pain I was, and, again, it's a pretty tall bridge. You've ever been to Centerway Bridge. I thought I was going to fall off the bridge. Even though there was clearly a rail that could have stopped me. So yeah. And then I just collapsed. I crossed the finish line, and then I collapsed out on the ground. Funny enough, I actually saw my first grade teacher there. That was really cool. So after that, we visited my Aunt Debbie in the hospital. And, actually, you know what? I'll never forget the very last thing I ever heard my Aunt Debbie say. I I think someone asked her what was wrong, and she said, "Nothing. That's the problem." That's the last time I ever heard her utter anything. I mean, I did remember having a few minutes with her by myself, and she was, out cold. Not passed away, just out cold. Tried saying a few words and took her all the memories he had. Like, I believe it was my Aunt Debbie that actually introduced my entire family to. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. I'm not sure it was my Aunt Debbie who introduced. Oh, it was my Aunt Debbie and my Aunt Kathy who introduced me and my brother to the Elbow Room here in Elmira. I want to say they also introduced my brother and I to Lids. My Aunt Debbie knew the owners pretty well at Lids. Actually, she knew a lot of people. She was also really good. Oh, she also liked to sing. She was really big into karaoke. Although my father likes to joke around about the one time where she was singing and one guy says, "I'll give you $20 to shut up." Obviously, my father never let that live her down. Never let her live that down. And it was, this is before I actually had a job, so I was still living with my parents. I remember a Tuesday at around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I got the call from my dad saying that she was gone. So I went to the hospital. She was at Arnold Ogden Medical Center. And, a few days later we had the funeral and the wake and stuff like that. It was actually the very last time we ever went to Spencer's. Remember Spencer's in Corning? It was a really great restaurant. I think I shared this story before, but Spencer's in my family was known for having like the best fettuccine alfredo ever. And at the time I thought it was just okay because I just got the fettuccine alfredo and they have like far too much sauce for not enough noodles. The key is you gotta order the fettuccine alfredo with the chicken and the broccoli, and now the sauce is a more even ratio. And I figured that out the very last time we went to Spencer's after my Aunt Debbie's wake. That was the very last time we ever went to Spencer's. And it would be the last time because Spencer's closed down. That building is still there. I don't know why no one does anything with it. Just thought I should mention that. And I don't know what compelled me to do this, but every year on November 5th, remember the 5th of November. It's from the movie. That line is from the movie V for Vendetta, but it just happened to be that she passed on November 5th. I don't know what compelled me to do it, but I just went to her grave. Actually, I mentioned my aunt. I should probably tell you about my uncle. Without giving too much away, I mean, listen. My Aunt Debbie passed away from sepsis via cirrhosis of the liver. That should pretty much tell you all you need to know what the cause was. My uncle really was no better, but he was in much better shape. But he couldn't live without my Aunt Debbie, so let's just say that next morning I heard my mom scream, and it turned out that it was because my uncle had, killed himself. Honestly, I was more terrified by my mom screaming that morning than my aunt passing. That made me much more terrified. Like waking up one morning and your mother screaming like bloody murder. Good Lord. Sometimes I still hear that scream. Holy cow. So every year on November 5th, I always go visit my aunt and my uncle at their gravesite. I've been doing that every year since 2014, a year later after they passed. And yesterday I was able to find the time to do it. I mean, a couple times it's been rough because, it happened to fall on day where because a couple of years were there'd be a couple of years where November 5th would fall on a day of the week where I wouldn't be able to go see that gravesite, so I would just make plans to go before. Which, I mean, actually in 2023, that was when I went to that wedding in Texas. So I was away when November 5th happened, so I went to see that gravesite before I left for that wedding. But I'm glad yesterday that I was able to do it. It felt really good. And I mean, I don't really stay for that long. I only stay for maybe, 5-10 minutes most, and then I go on about my day. I mean, I try to tell my aunt and my uncle what's happened, in the last year, like how old their great nephews are. Actually, I forgot to tell I told them that we tore down the cottage at Hugo Lake. That happened. Yeah. I mean, it was impact. I mean, this death was impactful in a way where it didn't make me like outright cry, but I could genuinely feel like the weight of like how serious this was. Because again, my aunt especially was the first person I knew for a really, really, really long time who passed away. I never experienced a death in the family like that. So, yeah, every year on November 5th, I always see my aunt and my uncle, and was able to do it yesterday, and I felt good. Sorry this video is probably really, like, depressing, especially when I haven't even gotten to my NFL pick of the week. It's only one game tonight, guys. And the Broncos are totally going to kill the Raiders. Good Lord, they're going to win, for sure. But if nothing else, I needed to share what happened yesterday that I did. It felt really good. I mean, listen, as someone who once contemplated suicide, and I'll get to that in December, as I always do every year, and as someone who actually does have depression, well, personally, I think it's probably like naive optimism for me, because I felt sad when things happened, but I guess maybe it's just something in me, but I just feel the need to say, well, no choice but to move on now. Sometimes it's more difficult to do that than others. And trust me, if you remember what happened at the end of July 2023, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah. Eventually, time will heal that wound. Or fade the scar, or however you want to perceive it as. But yeah, that's what I did yesterday. And I already said the Broncos are going to beat the Raiders. The Broncos are at home. It should be an easy game for the Broncos to win. I just realized during the Bills-Chiefs game, the Bills and the Chiefs at that point were the 5th and 7th seeds. The Bills aren't even winning their division right now. The Patriots are, because the Patriots beat them. What happened? Well, anyway, Bills beat the Chiefs. Chiefs are no longer in playoff contention, but the Bills are still in it. Go Bills. Broncos will win tonight. So yeah, hope you all like this video. Links to our YouTube channel, our social media. As always, I'm very helping this video for all you guys watching. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Remember, if you guys want to talk to us, we're here to let me know. Always back. Take care. Make good choices. 607 all day, baby.